The connection comes from coming out of a Christian culture. So Newfoundland, everybody pronounces Newfoundland, but it's the Newfoundland. It's three words that have been combined to make the name of the place, the province, the island. At one point, it was called Terra Nova. That's what the French called the place. Now, I actually almost like that word more. Actually, we probably should go back to using that name, because at least you can't mutilate that like we've been mutilating the other name now for the past couple hundred years or whatever. But anyway, this was the first place settled in North America, guys, by European people. So it goes back like 500-600 odd years or so. Portuguese first, then the French, then the English. Irish, of course, migrated here. We got a big Irish population here. Like my forefathers and all the rest of it came here from, like I say, either Ireland or Wales, one or the other. And of course, before that was the First Nations people, guys, the Beothuk people. I won't get into that right now, because that's a very, very extremely sad story. That if I were to go into the specifics of that one, well, it doesn't look good for us, actually, what happened with the Beothuk people and so on, that they don't exist here in Newfoundland anymore. Not pure-blooded Beothuks anyway, but I understand there's some mixed-blood Beothuks that still live here in the island, on the island, certain parts of the island. And their ancestry goes way back, 1,000 years, couple thousand years, several thousand years. I don't know if anybody knows for certain how far back the Beothuks went, here in the province before the Europeans came here and pretty much eliminated them, sort of thing. I mean, if you want to talk about genocide, there you go, sort of thing, But again, that's a story for another time that I'll touch on as some other sort of video for some other topic or something, I suppose, sort of thing. But as far as the European people goes, guys, this is the first part of North America that was settled by European people. And all of those people come from Christian cultures. So, I mean, the Portuguese, Christian culture, French, of course, Christian culture, Catholic, Christian, whatever, I guess. The English, of course, Catholic, and I suppose Protestant later as well. The Irish, Catholic, and I guess Protestant afterwards, sort of thing. So what I'm trying to say is that for the past several hundred years, this province has been exclusively, excluding the First Nations people that were here long before any of us ever came here, sort of thing, has always been Christian, So we're brought up in the Christian culture with Christian theology and all the rest of it, sort of thing. And Christian theology, I mean, whether it's Catholic Christian theology or Protestant Christian theology, it's kind of more or less basically the same for the most part. We're taught pretty much basically the same sort of stuff concerning Israel and Judea, Jewish people, where Jesus came from, Yeshua, the Prince of Peace, Prince Yeshua, I like to call him now. I have been calling him for the past 2 years. Like where he comes from, the tribe that he would belong to, and being Jewish and all the rest of it. So that is our introduction into the life of this individual and the people that existed in that area when he existed 2,000 years ago. So any Christian person, I mean, the standard knowledge that you would have about modern day Israel, ancient Judea, would come from that perspective, that Christian perspective, sort of thing. And beyond that, none of us really know much about the Jewish culture beyond what is told to us in the biblical stories. And our Old Testament is basically the same as your Jewish Torah. All the stories are more or less pretty much the same sort of thing. And so we have all that. And then, of course, added on to that, then within Yeshua's time and his followers, and what happened within the first few decades or so after Yeshua passed from this life, this plane of existence, or whatever, and how the first movements formed up around his life, his teachings, and so on and so forth, which is vastly different, guys, from what modern day Christianity teaches. But again, that's another topic for another video some other time as well. So my interest in Jewish culture, Jewish people, and all the rest of it from day one, pretty much as far back as I can remember, comes out of that perspective, which is a vastly different perspective than what your average, Islamic person is going to understand about Jewish culture and so on and so forth. And so I have been saying for ages, guys, I'm starting to go off a topic here, and that's not what I want to talk about. I'm going to try to get back on track here very quickly here now. But this is my ADD now, guys. Showing up here, trying to stay focused on things. With Christianity, guys, there is that intimate connection with Jewish culture. There's one thing that I want to come out of my videos and this topic, as I start getting into this more and more here now over the weeks ahead, sort of thing, is that we have got to end this separation between Christian and Jew. Because by rights there should be no separation between Christian and Jew at all, because the original foundation of the Christian religion is actually truly a Jewish foundation, because the first follower, Yeshua himself, he was Jewish and he died Jewish. I can say that over and over and over again. He never became a Christian. He died within his Jewish faith, his Jewish religion. And he passed from this plane of existence with that understanding in his mind of whatever Judaism existed, what it consisted of 2,000 years ago. And that was it. Like he never set out to form a new religion. That just sort of devolved, just developed whatever hundreds of years after the fact, sort of thing. So he was Jewish, and his first followers immediately after him, those that knew him and those that followed his message and his path and his the example of his life for the first several decades to 100 years or so, or century or so after him, they were all Jewish as well. And it wasn't even called Christianity. It was called the Nazarene, the sect of the Nazarenes. They were a Jewish sect of ancient Judaism that I guess more or less basically accepted Yeshua as the Jewish Messiah. But beyond that, I think most of their practices and so on that were very much within the framework of the Jewish religion. But guys, that is the original actual foundation of our religion, of Christianity. So we have this very, very, very intimate connection with the Jewish people and Jewish culture through that connection, through our roots that way, sort of thing. So when we say Judeo-Christian culture, it is very much Judeo-Christian culture. The foundation of the Christian culture was the Jewish culture in a very real, tangible sense, sort of thing. As opposed to Islam that came along several hundred years, about 500 or 600 years, 700 odd years after the fact, guys, with absolutely no connection with the land of Judea or Jewish people or anything whatsoever, any tangible connection of the same sort of thing, So it is beholding to Christian people everywhere that classify themselves as Christian, religiously Christian or otherwise, to support Jewish people and Jewish culture, because our culture, our religion and our culture was founded on yours. And so I am intimately aware. I like very keenly aware of that fact, because I choose to be aware of that fact, and guys, I take pride in realizing that, understanding that about our history, our past, our origins as a religious grouping of people, sort of thing, So that was the sort of the introduction for me personally of understanding who Jewish people were, what they were about, and so on and so forth. So in one sense, even though I wasn't born into the Jewish culture, I sort of feel as though the whole of my life I've been loosely kind of sort of connected with it anyway, because it's always been brought up in our teachings, in Sunday school, in church services, in sermons, everything like Jewish people, Jewish culture, like constantly being talked about, in relation to Yeshua, the Prince of Peace, the supposed founder of the Christian faith. So I never grew up with this feeling of animosity toward Jewish people. Like it was never ever there. For me personally, it was never ever there. There was always this sense of connection and kinship, we'll say, with Jewish people, with the understanding that my faith and my culture was born out of that faith and culture and people, sort of thing, So I guess I was predisposed to having a warmer spot, we'll say, for Jewish people, for the Jewish culture, for the state of the modern state of Israel now, because of all the biblical stories connected with the modern state of Israel that we grew up with as well. Because I got extra tape on this freaking camera here now, and it seems like it's warm enough here right now that it's causing that to come up. So excuse me here now. I gotta keep taping down so the camera don't shake too much, guys. I'm holding it in my hand. I'm trying to keep my hand steady. So anyway, trying to move along here now. How much time have I gone in here? That's my half an hour now, guys. I can only go 40 minutes because I didn't. Oh my lord! I did it again. Oh, just. Okay, sorry. I thought you just cut off on me there, guys. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I'm going to have to rush this over a bit now. Actually, you know what, guys? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to clue this off now because I know what's going to happen now. Now, guys, I didn't end off my video from... where do I go? All right, I'll tell you what. I'm sorry. I'm not being very professional. I'll go 34 minutes in. That's going to give it two 70-minute videos. I'm going to delete the video I made yesterday, so I got the extra space on the camera here, and then take up the conversation again from that. I think that's the best way to go about doing this, guys. I'm sorry about that. So what I'm going to do here now, then I'm just going to continue on what I'm talking about, and then lead up to what got me really passionate about supporting Jewish people from that point on, because of stuff that I was exposed to as a kid in relation to the Holocaust and so on and so forth. So I'm leading up to that now in my discussion here, sort of thing. So that's the situation with anybody that claims to be Christian, guys. That's the situation. You cannot. There is no excuse for anti-Semitism within the Christian religion. Seriously, there is zero excuse for anti-Semitism within the Christian religion. When you research the Christian religion properly, accurately, thoroughly, and understand that who the founder was, what he was, what his religious beliefs were, sort of thing, and that our faith is founded on his life and his teaching, sort of thing. And he never preached anti-Semitism. He never told his followers to be against his own people. Indeed, it was just the opposite, to be honest with you guys, because we're told, like, there's one account in one of the books of the New Testament where it claims that Yeshua was sitting on a hillside somewhere. You could probably even find the hillside that supposedly he sat on and had this experience, and he was looking down over Jerusalem. It was not too long before he was crucified. Actually, I think it was maybe only. See, it's hard to figure out all this sort of stuff too, guys, because they don't give you a good timeline in when you tell the stories about Yeshua and different instances that were recorded for whatever reason. But anyway, with this particular story, it claims that he was sitting over on an embankment, a hilltop somewhere, looking down over Jerusalem, and he wept for Jerusalem. His heart broke for Jerusalem, and he cried and he wept over Jerusalem. Now, what the context of the story is all about, was he foreseeing something that he knew was going to happen to Jerusalem in the near future? Was he foreseeing the misery and the suffering that his people, you guys, his people, were going to be forced to go through in the near future, like from his perspective back then, sort of thing, that hadn't happened yet? Like, was he foreseeing all these things, and because of that he wept over Jerusalem? The important thing is, guys, is that he wept over Jerusalem. So the indication is that he loved Jerusalem and he loved his people. He cherished his people. So you're brought up in a tradition that you're told the founder of your religion felt this way, react this way, had this caring, love, concern for his people that way. And even when he was hanging on the cross, this again, all talking from just purely Christian tradition, whether half the stuff actually happened the way that we're told. We can never know with 100% certainty, but from what tradition tells us, while he was hanging on the cross, he asked God, to forgive those that crucified him. So that would include, I guess, the Roman authorities, because they played their part, and the Jewish religious authorities, and I